wonderful Wednesday because we are going way back, way back to a time where we're going to talk about Bell Aircraft. And there's a little sign behind my guest that says something about we can do it. And it's Rosie the Riveter. There is a lot of history in today's program, and it's because this book talks about the past. And you know, what do I say? We are preserving the past as we embrace the future. Get ready for the future, because the future may have a new politician in the works. We'll see about that in just a little bit, because you know, my guest is a very special teacher, but he could also be a very special politician, because he came with something that not all of them are equipped with. It's called common sense. I knew his mama and daddy, and I love his mama, and his precious daddy's gone, but they were teaching these kids common sense. Remember that? Remember common sense? Well, we're going to get a little common sense today as we visit with the author of Some Things Are Meant to Keep. Well, this really qualifies me as an expert, because I have everything I've ever owned, and I'm not getting rid of any of it. So welcome, Josh. It's so good to have you here.
Good morning, Miss Sherry.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
And I appreciate the politician comment, but I'm more concerned about getting into heaven. So I don't,
You don't think politicians will get there?
I couldn't be a lawyer, and I couldn't be a politician.
We need somebody to lead the works, though. Goodness
understand.
gracious sakes alive. Now, you've been a teacher how many years?
This will be my 14th year.
In 14 years, was there ever a day that you said, Lord, what were you thinking when you sent me here?
That's about every day.
Every day.
Some days, there's some days that are harder than others, and then you get breakthroughs that come sometimes slow like daylight and sometimes like a bolt of lightning.
Mm-hmm. You teach special needs.
Yeah, special education, yes ma'am.
Special education. And from that, have you been rewarded over and over and over?
Yes ma'am. Every year there's always a case, and sometimes I get students, especially young boys, young men, they come in and they're difficult. They've decided that the world's given up on them, and they've decided that they've become hard-boiled and hardened in here. And I usually, somewhere along the line, will say, you're my assignment from Holy God, and I'm not letting up. And so we usually get to a spot where we can move in the right direction. We get good growth out of our students, and I'm very pleased and honored for that.
What school are you at?
Right now, I'm at Hiawassee Dam Middle School in North Carolina, Cherokee County Schools, and before that I was at Ranger Elementary and Middle School. Wonderful place, and Hiawassee Dam's a wonderful place. You will not find people like that anywhere else.
What's the total number of students at the school? Size?
Middle and high school, we're up in the 280s, something. Very small school.
Yeah.
Very small school.
Yeah, and that's like when ETC started. Remember, our slogan was neighbors serving neighbors. So you're in a community that you can serve each other, and you to me, that's almost an advantage, because you know the families, you know the people, you know their circumstances. So it almost gives you an edge, because you're like, yeah, I remember that family, and I knew the granddaddy, and I can connect with this kid because of the grandfather.
And because of growing up and living in the Copper Basin all of my life, those families are connected through there. So
absolutely,
you can trace it back and find out. You know people, you know their family, you know who they are. So I get a pretty good connection there.
Yeah, it turns a little light on, doesn't it? Because they say, oh, my grandpa, yeah. Now let's talk about you being an old man in a young body.
I've been told
You've always been that old soul that had that special light inside you, that you remember the days, and you're keeping those days alive, and I love that.
I try to. You know, that's always been a great honor and badge that I like to wear. My own peers used to say, you're such an old man, and I said, well, if being modern means acting like you guys do, then I'll be old.
Yeah.
I can't abide by the way a lot of things go now. You see it out in town, you see it. everywhere you go, and it's just at some point in time, what happened to common decency?
Mm-hmm. Well, the poet says it best. What's wrong with living right?
That's what I say.
What's wrong with living right? And that's, that's a slogan that I think is going to become more popular every single day, because we see some stuff that we're going, what?
Right.
What is going on here? How did that parent allow that child to go out of the house looking like that? How did they allow them to do the things they do? I was telling a story the other day about sitting in a restaurant and overhearing some stuff and saying, my mama would have wore my tail out. I mean, there's not enough hickories to have gotten me through that.
I know it.
What
and
happened?
I've had the privilege of having my mama who did wear my tail end out.
Yeah, and it worked, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
It did.
Yes, it did.
It did. Let's talk a little bit about your family. We're going to show something today with your precious daddy.
Wow.
And what a kind and gentle man.
The best there was.
Yeah.
I was honored to have the very best that there was. And there's a quote from Sir Isaac Newton, and it says, if I've seen further than other men, it's because I've stood upon the shoulders of giants. Mm-hmm. And my father was a giant.
Yeah, yeah.
But
and
I'm biased, but he was a giant.
And so kind, and just so, he was like that person that you thought, well, if I needed something, he'd be there for me.
Yep.
Is that the kind of man
Shirt
he
off,
was?
the
Yeah.
shirt off his back, and money out of his pocket. If he was down to his last $20 bill, he'd give it to you. That's just, that was who John E. Griggs was.
Yeah.
And that's, he raised us boys with that instilled in us, and I thank God every day I have that. And so he was taken from us far too soon.
Way too soon.
Far too soon.
What a shocker to have him there for comfort, for reward, to say, hey son, good job, great job. And then he was gone. He was just gone.
Yep. One of my favorite things he always told me, he said, son, you don't have to work hard to impress me. I was impressed the day you came into this world.
Wow.
And so that,
Oh yeah.
there's not many daddies that tell their boys that, and
Yeah.
so I've always held that. That's helped me through a lot.
Yeah.
Through time.
Now, the last time I saw you, you and your mom were in church singing, and that was just a special, special day. Having a relationship with your mother now is so important, because mama's what you got, and you need to support her, and you need to love her. And how's she doing?
My mama is doing wonderful. I always say, people ask me how Alice is doing, and I say she's Alice. She's going right on.
Yeah.
So love my mama, and she's going in all directions all the time. But
who instilled the music love in you? Mom, Dad, both?
well, and it's in my book. It goes all the way back. That's actually in the first chapter, called A Southern Night. My grandparents. Now, you never had the privilege of meeting Curtis and Irene Center,
No.
but Curtis was a guitar man, and he could play, and he was kind of one of the Chet Atkins certified guitar pickers, of that stripe and time. And he had a 1952 Gretsch Country Club. It's in my possession now, and it's pictured on the front of that cover.
I see that.
And he had a big Fender tube amplifier, and for those of my friends out there listening that know music, you'll know that a tube amplifier has a certain sound. But the ritual in their house, every evening, faithfully, after a big supper that my grandmother would cook, he would go and watch the 6 o'clock news on his great big Curtis Mathis TV.
Yeah.
And the tube on that TV was about the color green of your chair when it was turned off, and then it would come on, and then it would hum, and it would come on, and he'd hear the 6 o'clock news, and he would listen to it, and then he'd turn it off.
Wow.
And then from 6 o'clock
So
to
there
say
was no
10,
foolishness about the TV. It was just the news.
just the news, and maybe he'd watch the Statler Brothers if it was on, or some other show if it was there. But faithfully, by no later than 8 o'clock, that TV went off, and they retired to their music room, and my grandmother and my grandfather would sing and practice nonstop. They'd go through everything. Now it wasn't just religious songs. They would get to that. But he could play everything from the Bob Wills Western Swing to Chet Atkins to He'd play the Chattanooga Shoeshine Boy, and he'd play all that stuff. And as a little kid, I wanted to crawl up in that amplifier and just, but they didn't have air conditioning.
Oh, wow.
And so in June, all the windows are open, the screens are in, and the lightning bugs are going out. They look like sparks coming off a flyer, you know.
Yeah.
And that whole house was breathing and living. And they were singing songs, and they would sing, "Do You Know My Jesus?" And they would sing, "Shackled by a Heavy Burden, He Touched Me." And they would sing, and they were singing to their Lord. It was their act of worship, but they were always practicing. And I asked my grandmother years later, after my grandfather passed away, "Why were y'all doing that?" And she said, "If called upon at church to sing, we always had to keep our axe sharp. You never know when you're going to have to do some tree trimming." Mm-hmm. And that way of life, and I got to thinking about that post-COVID, and I'll go all the way back to about 15 years ago. Life just changed, and it was slowly, like I said, like daylight coming on. But we got away from a way of living mm-hmm. around here. Mm-hmm. And the shame of it, you know, I was talking to you about the Yellow Jacket restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
There was a community gathering there. There was not some social contract we had signed that said everybody shall meet here at this day. Just everybody did. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just about the fried chicken. It was about the community.
It was the community.
The fellowship.
Exactly.
It was
Business
amazing.
deals were struck in that
mm-hmm.
restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
People shared their burdens at that restaurant. It was almost done like a religious ceremony. Everybody mm-hmm. went. Mm-hmm. Saturday and Sunday, you were there. You saw people in the community.
Yep.
We worked together. We prayed together. We lived together. That's how it was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm going to be 38 years old. I was privileged enough to live in that time and see it. And I am saddened that it's gone, and I don't think we'll see that kind
Never
again.
again. No. And I was telling you about the Sundays that I worked. That was just it was almost like therapy for me, because the sweetest faces, the kindest people
Yep.
came in the door.
Yep.
And they just were so happy to see you,
Yep.
you know? And that's what it was. It was like this great community came
Yep.
together, and every table filled up, and people waited on a table to be cleaned off, and they waited on more chicken to come out to the line, and Lord, them taters.
Yeah. But you know, and the thing that you need to understand is, and I put that in my post when I was talking about it, and I've been told to do a part 2 in the book, and I'm going to put the Yellow Jacket in the part 2. Uh-huh. But everybody in the community was poor. Mm-hmm. This was not a country club where people came around and judged who they were going to talk to by the newness of the vehicle in the parking mm-hmm, lot. Mm-hmm. Everybody there was equal in a sense. They were school teachers, business owners, mill workers from the copper company. Ditch diggers. You know, it did not matter. Everybody there was so-and-so. How we doing? How we doing? Shake hands with you. You know, how's your mama? How's your family? Yeah. And that has now gone, and it's not just with the Yellow Jacket. It's just a cultural shift entirely. Mm-hmm. And I'm saddened to say they've ruined my Harpertown Hill. They've torn McKaysville all to pieces. And McKaysville, we're praying we're going to get through this, but it's just hard.
Speaking of McKaysville, do any of y'all live in the city limits?
No, I'm over in Ducktown.
You're in Ducktown. But you know that McKaysville people have spoken, and they voted against alcohol coming in there and wandering through their community.
Right.
And they voted pretty heavy against it.
Yep.
So they haven't changed in McKaysville.
No.
They're still good people.
They're still hanging on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, it's just sad that for the almighty dollar we're selling our values. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's some things that are just not for sale.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when I first came here to ETC, we knew live TV was risky, because you can say anything on live TV and it goes out there. And I explained to them, I said, what you see is what you get. If I'm having a bad day, you're going to know it. I've had phone calls from people who've said, I know that today was hard for you because it was the anniversary of my daughter's death, or it was the anniversary of, you know, something that was horrible. And that's the great thing about doing live TV, is you actually reach people who are dealing with the same thing you've dealt with, and you've just made a difference in their life.
Grit.
That's it.
It's grit. That's life.
That's life. That's life. And it is amazing to me the differences that we've made in lives, because I've had people stop me in Walmart and say, you know, I was on dialysis and I watched you every day, and you would make me laugh, you would make me cry, you would give me hope. And I said, man, we've got a big burden to carry, but we can carry that burden because we know there are people still out there who need that love, that support, that just a little lift, just a little lift.
Right. And I'm hoping that this book will give that little lift. I'm very indebted to Amazon Kindle Publishing for allowing me to put that book on there. It's done quite well so far in the cultural section. I think it's ranked in the 40s, top 50 anyway, out of cultural and regional humor. There's some humorous pieces in there.
Yeah, I want to ask you about something, because once upon a time I was a child. I was a little bitty child, and my mother had worked at Bell Aircraft in what is, I guess it's Marietta is what they call it now. Yeah, Marietta, near Dobbins Air Force Base, which is now Lockheed.
Dobbins.
And when Mother worked there, I can remember the house we lived in on Austell Road, and I can remember it had hardwood floors, and I remember it was a little brick ranch, and I've always loved a little brick ranch, and so that's one of my first memories in life. Do you remember how many women left this area and went to work there?
I don't have a number, but my great aunt Noan was a Rosie the Riveter with Bell Bomber. And that's a story that's in this book. You'll see a B-17 on the cover here. I've got it right here. And there's a story in that book, and it goes all the way back to 1990. And I was a young whippersnapper then, and there was a birthday party going on for me, and my father was there. And a friend of the family, and I just call him Bill in there, he's since passed away, got off in the corner talking to my father. My father was a Marine Corps veteran. And that story he told my father stuck with my dad, and he would repeat it to me, and my dad would get teary-eyed when he would tell it. And the story is this. B-17s had to make what they call ferry flights. So they built them in Seattle, not at Bell Bomber. B-29s were built at Bell Bomber. And so I found that out in my research, but it's the same principle, the same story, and I reference Marietta, Georgia in the story. But to get a B-17 over to England, you had to fly it up the coast and go to Nova Scotia, then hop over to Greenland. We had taken those bases from the Danes in World War II. That's another story for another day. And from Greenland, they would go on to England. And my grandfather, my dad's dad, was working the air base at Greenland. Anyway, that's how that story fits in. So this guy, Bill, he goes, they hand me the keys to a brand new B-17, still smelling like machine oil, and we rip on up the coast, and we're headed to get it to Greenland. We're going to refuel and go to Britain. And in those days, and it's called wind shear or turbulence, but the old timers called it an air pocket. And what it is this huge column of descending air. You know, warm air rises, cold air sinks. And so over the Atlantic was a graveyard for those airplanes at that time, because a B-17, for all of its tonnage and the power that it had, could not get through that kind of turbulence. If it was bad enough, it'd shred them to pieces.
Wow.
So he said, we're flying along 190 knots, 8,500 feet above the ocean at cruising altitude. He said it was the kind of day, much like today, that make you think the whole thing's bearable. We're cruising along, doing just fine, and all of a sudden, we're falling flat. It's called a falling leaf stall. They're not nose down, they're falling flat like an elevator with cut cables. And he said, our altimeter was just spinning. He said, we were losing, 500 feet, 800 feet, 1,000 feet, and the Atlantic Ocean's coming up. And he said him and his co-pilot pushed those yokes to the firewall to get her nose down. He said, those props were turning, but they weren't biting air. He said, you could hear my heart beating in my ears. And he said, and we took all of those throttles and we shoved them forward, and those big right whirlwind 1820 Cyclone engines kicked in. He said, we heard those superchargers kick on. He said, and Dad would stop, he'd get teary-eyed. He said, and that man swallowed hard. He said, and it started pulling a little air under those wings. Wow. He said, we leveled off at 1,200 feet above the water. He said, I could see the breakers coming in. He said, in those airplanes, he said, that airframe went through stress it was never designed to handle.
But it did it.
Those engines, we just firewalled 4 brand new engines that should have torn themselves apart under that. He said, those Rosie the Riveters, they did their job.
Wow.
And he said, you know, and he got teary-eyed over it. I can get teary-eyed thinking about it. He said, you know, some lady in Marietta, Georgia, she put those rivets in right, and it didn't matter if she was having a hard day. It didn't matter if it was, 10 minutes to quitting time. It didn't matter that rivet, at 80% will be all right. She put every rivet in that plane right, and because she did, a whole crew of B-17 bomber pilots made it through that war.
Wow.
And so the saying goes, for want of a nail, a horseshoe was lost. For want of a horseshoe, a horse was lost. For want of a horse, the battle was lost. For want of the battle, the war was lost. All for the want of a horseshoe nail.
Wow.
And so I think about that story a lot. That's been a story that shaped me.
Oh, yeah.
Over
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
and
if
I
you're going to do it, do it right.
Do it right.
Yeah.
And these people did it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a story that's in that book.
And many of those women were at work because their husbands were at war.
That's right.
So many of the women had been homemakers at home with the husband making a living, and the husband went to war.
Husbands, brothers, fathers, these people, and they were young girls too. They weren't older women. They were young kids, you know.
Right.
They were everybody. It took all hands to win that war.
Yeah.
And we celebrate World War II a lot, but we don't really, there's a lot of war movies, but people forget about what went on the home front to win that war. So there was a lot went on to win that war. Everybody was pulling.
Yeah.
Everybody was pulling.
And this is what we need to talk about in America today. Let's pull together again.
Let's
pull together again. And let's do something phenomenal. Like, let's get through this war that we're fighting. Let's get through the things that we're dealing with.
Exactly.
Let's get through the craziness that we've seen in our world. And let's go back to those days. And I love this when you said some things are meant to keep, because honestly, I was thinking the other night about, well, when I'm gone, who's going to want that? When I'm gone, who's going to want that? I got to find somebody who wants it all, because I have stuff from 6 grandmothers away. I mean, like, passed down. But nobody's going to want it because we didn't teach them the value of the past. Do you see this phone?
Yeah.
This phone is like a 1930-something phone. And there's value in that. There's value in that because if you have this phone in your house and somebody breaks in, you could wallop the tar out of them with that phone. It would kill them. A hit with that phone would kill them. And, it's crazy because when we think about this phone was made here, Ellijay, Georgia, and we've produced thousands of phones since then, and we've made better phones, lightweight phones. They won't kill you when you come in now. But we've grown, and we've grown here in this little community with this little company that started over 100 years ago. And we think about, you're 38. 38 seems so young to me. But when we think about ETC, if we go back in our archives, somebody needs to write a book about the growth of the telephone industry.
Right.
Because you think about it, just in your lifetime, you probably used a pager was the first thing you did. There was no such thing as a cell phone.
We didn't even have pagers.
Yeah.
I was a senior in high school before mainstream internet came up to McKaysville. You were either with HughesNet or you weren't with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Ellijay Telephone Company getting that put up there.
Yeah.
People forget, and I tell my students this too, 100 years ago today, this very moment, if we could get in Peabody and Sherman's Wayback Machine, 100 years ago today was 1926. And in Ellijay, Georgia, and in 1926, they were still mule and wagons going up and down Progress Road here.
Yeah.
Okay? And wealthy people had automobiles, and regular folks had horses.
Yeah.
Now, 100 years later, regular folks have automobiles that look like spaceships, and wealthy folks breed horses.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth.
So.
And we see that in Gilmer County. We see it everywhere. So, well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to follow through and talk more about the book. We're also going to talk a little bit about the copper mines, and we're going to talk about the fact that the world could turn around and we could bring jobs back to the USA if we listen to people who are smarter than the average bear. And we've got some people that are, and then we've got some people that ought to hibernate and never wake up. So we'll talk about both of those when we come back.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time, and delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
If you or your business are looking for local advertising opportunities, we have sponsorships available for new programming coming soon on ETC3. Contact us at 706-697-5591.
See us anytime you can.
ETC is connected to our community. We provide communication services that connect friends and family. We're connecting with our neighbors through support of local causes and events, connecting our students and schools to a world of learning resources, and connecting you to the latest technology with local customer service. Learn more about our community connections and fast, reliable internet. Visit etcnow.com today.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Okay, we talked a little bit about communication. Communication today is as simple as a cell phone, as simple as a microphone, as simple. It's made so much easier. And when we look back in the history, I think ETC should get you to do the research, because you obviously could do it, and write a book about the history of telephone companies. Because without a telephone, there's no communication with the outside world. Without a telephone, used to be walkie-talkies. Remember how people and did CB radios?
CB
loved
was
CB radios.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the kind of stuff that we used to use. But we don't do that anymore. No. We use convenience. We are down to, we only care about that instantaneous convenience. We often sleep with our cell phone. We often, right here, I'm guilty, right here. We are used to the stuff that makes it simple for us. It makes it simple. You know, it wasn't so bad the way it was.
No,
life was a little bit easier, a little bit more fun. It was just a little bit different.
It was.
And I think we're kind of looking now, it wasn't so bad back then.
No, it wasn't.
And maybe if we took the phone away from the kids, and when they enter the house and it's family time, put the phone away. Should we be doing that today?
Yeah, we should. The kids need time to be bored. Because out of that boredom, their mind starts to think and make make problems to solve and get through problems to solve. Kids need time to be bored. The instant gratification of a cell phone just ruins any critical thinking skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going on.
And I have seen this, and this just blows my mind. I'll see 3 young girls walking in the park, because we're across the street from Calvin Farmer Park, and I glance over and see who's walking. I'll see 3 young girls, like 12, 13 years old, and they will all be walking together around the little walk, all of them on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how are you having a conversation and how are you developing a relationship when all 3 of you are on the phone? And I'm like, leave the phone in the house, the car, the whatever, and just go take a walk with your friends.
Yep.
But when I saw that yesterday, I thought, that's kind of what's wrong with this world today.
It is.
We're super connected with people that really don't matter to us. And I'm as guilty as sin, because last night I gave away tickets to Clint Black concert on Facebook using my cell phone. Sometimes it's a great convenience, and other times it's a total nuisance and annoyance. And so,
well, and never mind the fact that on Facebook you're seeing everybody's highlight reel.
Right.
You're seeing the best of that person
right.
at the best of the time. You don't see the day they're having a bad day. You don't see the day that they forgot to pay the light bill. You don't see the day they forgot to put gas in the car and ran out on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You don't see the day that's fallen apart. You see only the best, and now you're judging your life by the best comparative, and it's just not right.
It's not right. I laughed because my beautician was out of town last week, and so actually 9 days. She left me for 9 days, and I just about traumatized. And so I said, I'm going to do a video. I washed my hair and I dried my hair, and I was rolling it with my 1970s hair rollers, and I put it on YouTube. And it got a lot of crazy hits, and people were like laughing, and they thought it was funny, and they said, oh, it's okay. And I said, oh my gosh, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have to take this call. Hello? Yes, sir. Yes, We do have a very special guest today, yes. Nobody knows he's here because he's incognito. Yes. How did you know he was here? The Secret Service outside? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We tried to keep it very quiet. Okay, hold on a minute. Yes, he can take your call. Hold on. It's for you, sir.
Hello. Yes, this is the Donald Trump, 100%. I thought I told you never to call me at this number. What's Gavin Newsom done now? Frankly, California is a raging tire fire, we all know. He's worse than Iran, frankly. Cuba is even in better shape. He needs to fix it, and you know what? Since the Palisades burned, I went down there, I looked. I told him what to do to fix it. He has my notes, okay? Tell him to fix it, and it will be fine. I'll check on him later, okay? I'll send Rubio down there, all right? Okay, great, wonderful. Tremendous to hear from you. All right, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Oh, hello.
My kids love that.
California is reeling today because the mayor did not get reelected. She didn't get 51%, and so we're loving that.
Had to get a little jab in there.
We're loving that because California, I have said this a million times, it is a beautiful, beautiful place, but as far as a lot of people are concerned, it could fall in the ocean and nobody would miss it.
Well,
they've messed up a beautiful place.
It's just like with when that Pacific Palisades fire
that
came
was
through.
Pitiful.
And I was sitting there and I said, you're parked right out on the ocean and you talk about not having any water. And
common sense.
A friend of mine said, well, salt water's corrosive. I said, you know what's more corrosive than salt water? Fire. They could pump that water out of the ocean. So, okay, if you rot out a few pipes, pretty sure that's a good trade-off there.
Yeah.
But
and wasn't their reservoir empty? That was the
was,
problem.
on purpose.
Common sense.
Yeah.
We're going back to common sense.
Common sense.
Common sense. What happened to common sense?
Well, I mentioned that in my book. I kind of come down hard on government in the book. And there's the story I'm telling, and then there's the understory. And there's certain things I can't and won't say. Mm-hmm. But there's a story in there that I talk about with bureaucracy, and it's called the data-driven disaster. Mm-hmm. and it's about the Ford Edsel. So they built that car by committee. Ford started on it 10 years prior in 1948. They were wanting to make a car that would compete with Oldsmobile and with DeSoto for Dodge and Chrysler, because Chrysler had 5 brands at the time: Plymouth, Dodge, DeSoto, Chrysler, Imperial. Then you had Chevrolet, which had Chevrolet, then Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, Cadillac. Ford just had Ford, Mercury, Lincoln.
Right.
So they wanted a middle car. So they started putting together all the committees, and it was Robert McNamara, by the way, who later became Secretary of Defense. Anyway, put all that together, and they had committees for name. They had a naming committee. They had a product design committee. They had an engineering committee. Then the committees that revisioned it. Then there was a budget committee that, as far as anybody was concerned, job was to stand around all the other committees and look concerned. And the naming committee hired a poet to come out with a name for this car that would, and they told her to come up with names that would describe visceral male, you know, and she comes out with a name, and this is a fact. What, as Wendy Bagwell would say, what I'm telling you with my hand up.
Yeah.
She come out with the name of Utopian Turtle Top.
Oh my gosh.
Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
What'd you buy? Oh, I bought me a Utopian Turtle Top.
Can you imagine being a man in 1957 walking into a dealership in Macon, Georgia, and ordering you a Utopian Turtle Top?
No, no.
Or showing
Ain't
it to your
happening.
father-in-law who
No.
had an Oldsmobile since the Truman administration,
Yeah.
that you just bought a brand new Utopian Turtle
No,
Top.
no.
And Ford lost $250 million on that car because the committees ruined it. Bureaucracy ruined it.
It does. It does.
And that's in that book, but that's kind of a lesson.
And
That's
we
exactly
see
what
it
happened to
every single
California.
day, and life is so simple. Now, we have to go to something that was really simple for a very talented man who wrote a song, because we want to share the music of your grandfather.
There we go.
And let's talk about the song, because not everybody knows that you are related to the gentleman who wrote.
I'm living in Canaan now. That was my great-grandfather.
And how many people have sung that song, listened to that song, been encouraged by that song? And we've chosen a few little clips that we're going to use this morning, and we're going to show different people singing it. I don't know if we're going to start with the Gaithers, with Vestal and Howard. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to turn it over to Trace and let him share a song that was written right in the mountains of...
Well, it was in McKaysville,
There
right
you
there
go.
on Harpertown Hill.
There you go. So here we go. You're going to get to enjoy a song that was written in 1937, about the same time they made this heavy, hello, yes, phone. Here we go.
Behind Now that's original.
Hey there, and welcome to Original Thursdays. I'm sitting here with my good friend, Mr. Josh Griggs, in his lovely home. And we're going to bend the rules again just a little bit with Original Thursdays. But before we talk about what song we're doing today and who wrote it, I want to mention that also Josh was featured on the Presley Girls channel, along with his 63 Imperial. If you want to check out that video, it's a fun video. And way back on the Blind Pig and Acorn channel, he was one of the first musicians in the Train Song series. You can find that on this channel, but I'll put links in the description below. And then lastly, he was also featured on the Celebrating Appalachia channel, and my sister Tipper did a nice long interview with Josh on that channel. But of course, today we're talking about a song, and when I said we're bending the rules, I didn't write this song. No one in my family wrote this song. None of my friends wrote this song. Not even Josh wrote the song. But Josh, what's the song that we're going to share today, and who wrote it?
Thank you for having me on, Paul. The song is I'm Living in Canaan Now. It was composed by my great-grandfather, the words and the music, sometime around 1937. It was published in 1938.
Mm-hmm.
And he was...
what was his name?
Claude Center, Claude H. Center.
Okay. Living in Canaan Now. So we're going to tell you a lot of details and kind of some backstory about when this song was written. But before we do that, of course, we just want to let you hear the song. So we invited Caleb Dykes to join us, and Josh sang the song, played it on the piano, and we'll let you see that. And we didn't rehearse it or anything, but we did do a couple of takes. The one you're about to see was the second take, and at the very end of the video, we'll also share the first take with you.
Paul and Josh, outlaws.
Oh, yeah. Fraudulent raffle across state lines.
I would have been your probation officer, so.
That's right.
We just met you earlier.
There you
Met
go.
you earlier. That's right. Just different circumstances.
We doing this again?
Yeah, let's do it again. Hey, should I, the very last line of the verse, should I sing tenor there on that?
Yes.
I did once, and then I didn't the next time.
Keep doing
that.
it.
Probably threw you.
No,
So the last line of the first verse is,
I'm living in Canaan now.
Is that the last line of the second verse too?
Huh?
Is the second verse in that way too?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay,
They all
simple.
in that way.
Simple.
Egypt was once my home, I was a slave. Helpless and sin in Rome, no fight been great. But when I looked up to heaven's door, Christ came to save. I'm living in Canaan now. Living in Canaan now.
Egypt behind,
Cross over Jordan wide.
gladness to find.
My soul is satisfied, no longer I'm blind. Living with Jesus up in Canaan right now.
That is real. That is real. That's what I love about unedited stuff. That was just some guys who were friends. Now he's your principal.
Well,
he was.
He was at Martins Creek. He's my best of friend. He was at Ranger, and he went to Martins Creek right as I was hired on, and we just found each other. We both loved music and both had the same love of music. We get together and go fishing. Me and Paul and another very good friend of ours, Coach Simons, who is a counselor, and he was also a football coach. He's got a little cabin on Appalachia Lake, and we get together and have a good time with that.
And that's real. That's what is so cool about life. We can still be real. When I came here to do live TV, Roger Futch said, "Do you think you can do live TV?" I said, "It's the only kind of TV I can do." I said, "I can't write a script. I can't go by a script. What you see is what you get. Don't give me any kind of parameters of you've got to do this, you've got to do that." And so that's why there's a disclosure on the bottom of my program that says if you're sitting at home and you're a liberal and you don't like what we're talking about, you have the ability to change the channel. Or you have the ability to call and scream at me, because I even let people do that. You know, and in 21 years I've had 2 phone calls from liberals who said, can you give us an opportunity to tell why we are the way we are? I said, sure. Tell me. You got 2 minutes. You know? So real TV is real TV. Real YouTube is real YouTube. I like the real stuff. I like when you go out to people's houses. I like when you watch them cook. I made biscuits, and we were filming this, and it was supposed to be a great thing. And I used the wrong flour, and the dadgum things didn't rise. That was real, and we really used it, you know. So life is real. And I think that's what people will love about this book. This is a real book about real stuff.
I hope so. And it is. This is everything I've experienced. And my little girl is 8 years old, and I had a wonderful legacy handed to me from my great-grandfather, and of course now it's going to be her great-great-grandfather. But I also wanted her to know some stories from my dad, some stories from my grandmother, some stories of things that I experienced. And so that's why I put that together. And so my thoughts were that book will be on Amazon now for
eternity.
Forever.
Yeah.
As long as there's an Amazon.
Yeah, until Amazon goes to the moon. And you know, let's talk a little bit about when we think about you have a family now, you have a growing family. And does it scare you that you have an 8-year-old growing up in this world?
A little bit, yes. But the good news is that Katrina and I are both school teachers in the same district, so we kind of have more control over where she's at and what she's seeing and doing. I know all the teachers that's teaching her. I taught with them.
Right.
It's still very much a small community, very insulated still. So, you know, we've taken steps to protect my daughter there, and the Lord's been faithful to us on that.
Maybe
so
the
that
Lord's
helps.
been faithful to you because do you believe in, what do they call it? It's like curses of the father, the forefather, the father before.
Generational curses.
Because your grandfather never took a dime for that song. And people tried to benefit themselves from it, and they shouldn't, and they couldn't, and they can't.
Yep.
Because your grandfather said it, so only the Lord would be glorified in this. There'd be no checks written.
He used to say, "I work for a living, I sing for the Lord," and that's a legacy.
Yeah.
You know, and that man's been dead since 1963. And there's 2 million some odd views on YouTube.
Right.
About
and it would be making money for somebody, but he set it up so it couldn't.
Well, at the time,
yeah.
It's already past its copyright, whatever now.
Right.
So there's not much you can do about it, but nonetheless, for that time
the intent was there for him to protect it and to only share the goodness.
And God honored that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Now, your wife is also a very amazing survivor.
Yes.
She survived something that young women don't want to hear those words.
Breast cancer, yes. About 2 years ago, I found a spot. If there's one thing that has been helpful with all this technology, our medical is now amazing. They found a spot on Katrina about 2 years ago, and just like with losing my father, life can change in a second.
Yeah.
They did a lumpectomy, and she had a full hysterectomy and going on. They do good protocols. They check her every 6 months, and she just got the all clear last week from her doctor and oncologist. And then I believe there was an order put in for another diagnostic from back of this, and it was hanging, so they've called her. They wanted her to go back and do that, and that's made her a little ill. But
yeah.
But you know, keep the prayers coming. We appreciate that.
Keep the prayers coming, because, and they said that one of the good things, I'm scared of AI, but I think it's going to be great. But I'm terrified of it. It's going to be great, but I'm terrified.
As with anything,
yeah,
it goes all the way back, like nuclear power. Mm-hmm. There's the positive side of it, then there's the negative side of it.
Yeah.
With anything, there's always something that can be used for good, and then there's something that can be used for evil.
That's right.
Thomas Edison said, you know, what man's mind can conceive, man's character can control.
Yeah.
And so I hold on to those words. I like that. I really do. I like that.
Now, there'll be people who are watching us today who remember that you used to be at the radio station.
Yes, ma'am.
In Copper Hill, McCaysville area. And sadly, that little station just went away. That was kind of the communication for the community.
That was, yep, especially in the Bob Schwab years.
Yeah.
Yes. His show, Bob Schwab and WLSB, and he's the man that put WPPL on the air, and WLAJ. But it was WLEJ back in the time.
Yeah.
He's the man that did all of that back in the days. But yeah, the community radio station sadly has become a victim of the progress and the better ideas, and it's a shame. But I did have the privilege of working at WLSB for a time. Yeah. I'll always treasure that. There's nothing like doing morning radio.
Yeah, yeah. And you get the very best of people, and they get the best of you, you know. And it's funny you said mornings, because last night I was doing laundry and it was late, and I got out one of my favorite shirts that I've had for over 50 years. And it says I don't do mornings. And I told Roger Funch that exact thing. Now, I've proven I'm a liar, because I've done morning TV for all these years. But it was crazy, because in the morning, I used to just, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't, you know. And you can change that attitude, and you can make everybody's morning a very happy morning, and you did that.
You know, well, I appreciate that, Miss Sherry. You know what you need? You need to be the new, the North Georgia version of Maxine.
Yeah, yeah. Crazy. Yeah, crazy.
No, we had such a wonderful time with WLSB. There was nothing like keying that up in the morning and kicking it on. We had a man now. He's gone on to be with the Lord. Well, I won't say that's sad. He's in the presence of the Lord. But he would call in. He was going through cancer, and he would want me to play the Golden Rocket for him. And we had to take transmitter readings, you know, and you'd have to dial the transmitter and take a reading for the FAA or the FCC. And I always tried to take my reading, and then I'd roll the power up just a little bit so he could hear the Golden Rocket when he'd call in. So
precious.
It was fun. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
When we look back on that little radio station, on the Yellow Jacket, on the community meal that started at the Nifty 50, and we fed over 40,000 people a meal. Because somebody hungry came to McCaysville, Georgia to eat. Your mama was a part of that. You and your brothers were a part of that. And nobody cared any more about the community than sweet little Wanda, who was back there trying to keep the lights on at her restaurant, and a man came in hungry. Yeah. And that was the vision, was to feed the hungry.
And the economy was crashing at that time.
Oh, yeah. And who was our president?
Well, again, I can't do his impression.
Obama.
I can't do his impression. I just have to rely on my resemblance to him.
Yeah. Well, we are so blessed that we still have, some things are meant to keep. We have so much that is meant to keep. And one of the things that we're lucky enough that we have here at ETC, and I'm going to put you on the spot, you're going to have to come back before school starts again. You got to come back and do another show. But today we want to end with a little bit of you and your daddy and your brother.
I would be honored.
At RNA Orchards. And so we're going to do that. And we want you to sit back and think about, if this were your dad and he went to work one day and he didn't come home, how wonderful that we have this memory.
Yes.
And it's because of ETC and the memories that we've created over the 20 some odd years we've been on the air. We've created memories for so many people, and we want to share this memory at RNA with all of you.
We talked about farming this morning. We are in farming communities. We are in Gilmer County. Many of you have remarkable gardens. We have done, Donovan Jones did a CD and a DVD for us with pictures of your gardens that I've taken. We're going to listen to the Griggs family now, and we're going to talk about gardening in a way that you may not have heard before, so sit back and enjoy this.
This is my way of thanking the Lord for the recent rains. While resting one evening by the side of the road, I seen an old farmer in a field he'd just hoed. His face was all brown and wrinkled by the wind, and he was talking to the Lord just like you'd be talking to a friend. "Well, sir," he said in a voice calm and quiet, "them corn tassels need stacking, but I got no string to tie it. Been no rain in so long that the fields is mighty dusty. Been so unbearable hot that the kids are even getting fussy. Now that grass down in the pasture should be knee-high. If we could just have a little shower, Lord, it might keep the cow from going dry." Huh, listen at me talking. You'd think I weren't grateful. Why, if you didn't know me so well, Lord, you'd think I was downright hateful. You'd think I forgot about the new calf that you sent, the money in the mail that took care of the rent. Ma's cold is better, and Johnny's home from the Navy, and that good Sunday dinner of chicken dumplings and gravy. The new preacher you sent us, Lord, he sure is a fine young man. Why, he's just converting them sinners to beat the band. Well, guess I'll be moseying along now, Lord. Won't take no more of your time. Guess there's plenty of folks hereabouts waiting to ring your line. Evening to you, Lord, and watch over us tonight. Don't you worry none about us, Lord, 'cause everything's gonna be just all right. Well, I picked myself up and I headed for home 'cause it was getting along about dusk. And I went through the rest of that evening without thinking of the old farmer much. Till long about midnight I was awakened by the distant sound of thunder. And by daybreak, there was the sweet smell of summer rain on dry, parched dust. And I remembered the scripture that reads, "The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much."